Hey there, welcome to this introduction to Etherlink video. In this video, I'm going to cover all things Etherlink. I'm going to start off with a little bit of a history of Etherlink, how we got started building Etherlink on the Tezos Layer 1. I'm also going to talk about the technical advantages of Etherlink, so what makes Etherlink so great and why I think that you should build onto Etherlink. And next, I'm going to cover ecosystem projects that have been built onto Etherlink chain. And lastly, we're going to talk about how to deploy your very first smart contract on the Etherlink blockchain. So let's talk a little bit about the history of Etherlink, right? So to understand Etherlink, you need to first understand Tezos or the Tezos Layer 1. And Tezos was launched in 2018 as a permissionless Layer 1 blockchain. And on Tezos, consensus is achieved through a proof of stake and a liquid proof of stake mechanism. So liquid proof of stake simply means that you can delegate your stake to other bakers and earn rewards on the tokens that you've delegated to those bakers. Now, on Tezos, governance is through proposals that are submitted on chain. So anyone who is responsible for validating the network can essentially come and vote on proposals that have been submitted on chain. And that way, we don't require any hard forks on the Tezos blockchain. We can simply upgrade the chain or upgrade the protocol by allowing people submit proposals and vote on those proposals to upgrade the protocol. Now, after 2018, we started to think about how do we expand the Tezos ecosystem and how do we bring more people into the Tezos ecosystem, and that kind of what is the long-term vision for us? And that became Tezos X. The goal of that was to achieve composability, interoperability, and performance. And let me talk a little bit about each of those words. So composability means that anyone can build on top of the Tezos Layer 1, right? And you can add like multiple rollups, you can add like multiple runtimes on top of the Tezos Layer 1. That's what we started to think about in terms of composability. And if you think about interoperability, we want you to be able to write your smart contracts in any language and it will run seamlessly on top of the Tezos L1. For example, today we have the Etherlink rollup, we've got the Justice rollup. All of those rollups should be able to speak to each other. This is the vision of Tezos X, and this is what we're working towards within the ecosystem. And finally, performance. Performance is always a conversation when it comes to the blockchain, and we've been able to achieve that, and we'll calculate a bit about that as well in this video. And then in 2023, we decided to launch smart rollups as part of the Tezos X vision, and the smart rollups that we have on Tezos are optimistic rollups, and optimistic rollup simply means that we assume that all transactions are valid by default, except when someone challenges them by submitting a fraud proof. Now, what are smart rollups? Smart rollups are a layer 2 scaling solution that runs off-chain, but they inherit the settlement layer of the Tezos L1. So all of the benefits that Tezos L1 users enjoy today, security, the consensus mechanism, the governance mechanism, all of that is inherited by smart rollups that are deployed on the Tezos blockchain. And then something else that was very, very critical about our smart rollup update is that you can build a rollup kernel in any language that compiles to WASM. So imagine that you no longer have to go learn Solidity to be able to write a smart contract or to become a smart contract engineer. You can bring C++, you can bring Go, you can bring JavaScript, you can bring any high-level language that compiles down to WASM and essentially write your smart contracts in those languages and deploy them on the Tezos blockchain. So this is kind of the vision for us. This is what gets us excited every single day. And if you look to the right, if you look at this diagram that I've got on the right, you can see that we've got the Tezos Layer 1 as a settlement layer at the very bottom. And then we have smart rollups built on top of that. So Etherlink is one of those smart rollups. And we've also got other Layer 2s coming as well. So we've got Justice, which is a JavaScript runtime. And on top of this smart rollup engines, we're going to have decentralized applications or dApps built on top of them. And then Q3 of 2024, we launched the Etherlink rollup. So 2023, we deployed the ability for the Tezos Layer 1 to support rollups built on top of that Layer 1. And then in Q3 of 2024, we launched the Etherlink rollup. And if you think about what I said earlier, right? So you can go from Solidity, which is a high-level smart contract programming language. We have the Etherlink kernel, which is an EVM runtime written in Rust. So you deploy a Solidity smart contract, written in Solidity, obviously, and that gets interpreted by the Etherlink kernel, which is running an EVM runtime. And that code gets compiled down to WASM, which can then run on this smart rollup. This is such powerful technology because now we can open up Web3 technologies to any kind of developer anywhere in the world. And in Q4 2024, to further increase throughput and to increase the speed and the performance of the chain, we launched the DAO, or the Data Availability Layer. And the DAO is simply an independent P2P network for data storage and retrieval that essentially allows us to have very high throughput while maintaining decentralization and keeping the network honest and secure. Now let's actually look at the Tezos X vision, right? So let's break it down a little bit more. So at the very bottom, you've got governance, consensus, staking, settlement, and bridging, which is all a native feature of the Tezos L1. And on top of that, we have the data availability layer, which we spoke about earlier. Now, think about the data availability layer as a side network that allows for very fast data storage and retrieval. It gives us very high throughput and low latency while keeping the rollup decentralized and honest. And on top of that, we have a low latency sequencer as well. Again, all of this is just to increase or improve the throughput of the Tezos L1. And on top of that, we've got the smart rollup engines. So today we support WASM, but the Tezos X vision is that we're working towards RISC-V. Instead of having everything compiled down to WASM, it's all eventually going to compile down to RISC-V, which for us, again, is a performance gain and gives us high security guarantees as well. On top of the RISC-V or the WASM engine, we've got the runtimes. And on top of those runtimes, we've got the EVM, which supports Etherlink today. If you write a smart contract in TypeScript that compiles down to JavaScript, you can actually deploy that code on top chain, right? So if you push that code up, that gets interpreted by a JavaScript runtime that then eventually gets compiled down to WASM, which is what we support today. But in the future, it's going to be RISC-V. And then on top of all of that, like I said, you have your high-level programming language, and then eventually you have your decentralized applications for DeFi, for gaming, for art, and so on and so forth. But what makes Etherlink so great? Why are we so excited about this EVM-compatible layer 2 that we've built on the Tezos blockchain? And why do we want everyone to try it out? It's super fast. So transactions take around 500 milliseconds to be confirmed. And data gets posted or settled on the layer 1 in about 8 seconds, right? So super quick. Also, Etherlink is fair, right? So bakers can propose and vote on upgrades to the protocol, just like in Tezos layer 1. So consensus is maintained by validators as well. And if you want to learn more about that, you can simply go to governance.etherlink.com to learn more about how consensus works on the Etherlink chain. Now, transactions on Etherlink are also nearly free, right? So transactions cost a fraction of a cent, and so they're super cheap, super affordable, so that you can have millions and millions of transactions happening on chain. Also, it's EVM compatible. Right? So if you've got an existing EVM project from any other chain or from any other protocol, you can simply deploy that on Etherlink without making a lot of changes, allowing you to have more visibility within the Tezos ecosystem. Let's talk a little bit about some of the projects that have been built on Etherlink. We've got uranium.io. So uranium.io is a super exciting project for us here in the Etherlink ecosystem. Think about bringing real-world assets on chain. This is what uranium.io does. So today, you can't just make a call to a broker to buy some uranium in the market. You need to have a lot of capital to access that market. And we've made that very possible for anyone to be able to buy and trade tokenized uranium on chain. So if you're looking to go trade uranium and you're actually looking to get started on the Etherlink blockchain, uranium.io is a great project to get started with. And up next, we've got jumper.exchange. Okay, so jumper.exchange allows you to do cross-chain transfers very quickly. You can skip the bridging process and essentially just put what token you want to go from on what chain to what token you want to go to in another chain. And jumper.exchange will do all of the work in the background for you. They also support Etherlink today. We've got Oko.trade as well. Oko.trade is built on Uniswap v3. You can swap, you can bridge, and you can also on-off ramp using Oko.trade. So super exciting projects as well. Again, if you want to learn more about all the projects within the Etherlink ecosystem, go to etherlink.com/ecosystem to learn more. Then we've got Apple Farm, right? So Apple Farm is a way for us to increase liquidity on the Etherlink chain. You can farm apples and you can earn rewards. So there's a bunch of tasks that you can do. You can lend some money on Superlend. You can stake some of your XTZ on Etherlink. A bunch of activities that you can do in the Apple Farm project. You can earn rewards by supplying liquidity to the Etherlink chain. Next, we've got Aave Fork. So if you know Aave today, Aave is a lending protocol, and Superlend.xyz is a fork of Aave. If you want to know more about Superlend, please go to superlend.xyz. We've got Rarible as well. So Rarible is another fantastic project that we've got within the Etherlink ecosystem and allows you to buy and sell NFTs on Etherlink. So if you've got NFTs that you're looking for a marketplace to sell, or if you're looking to buy NFTs from a marketplace, Rarible.com is a great marketplace to go get started in. And then Reaper Actual. So if you were at Test Dev 2025, you would have seen a demo of Reaper Actual. Reaper Actual is an open world persistent shooter game set on the deadly island of Marova. Now players can keep the assets that they acquire during the game on chain. If you acquire some houses, if you acquire a piece of property, a piece of land, you can keep that on chain. And now we're going to talk a little bit about wallets on Etherlink. Now Etherlink supports EVM compatible wallets. So we support wallets like MetaMask, like Rabi, like Coinbase. And very important to mention here as well is that XTZ or Tez is the native token of Tezos and is also the native token of the Etherlink chain as well. If you're doing transactions on the Etherlink chain, you're going to pay gas using the native token of Tezos, which is Tez. So I'll be linking to the video on how to connect your MetaMask wallet to Etherlink in the description below. So let's talk a little bit about bridging on Etherlink. So bridging allows you to move your digital assets from one network to another. So for example, if you wanted to move USDT from a chain like Base or from Arbitrum or from even the Binance Smart Chain to Etherlink, you would typically use something called a bridge. And we have a native bridge on the Etherlink website today, so you can go connect your wallet and bridge your tokens from one chain to Etherlink or from Etherlink to a different chain. And in the description below, I'm going to be including a video on how to bridge XTZ from the Tezos L1 to Etherlink. Now let's talk a little bit about building on Etherlink. So what kind of tools do we have available for developers who are looking to get started building on the Etherlink chain? We've got indexers. So if you wanted to view transactions happening live on the Etherlink chain, you can simply go to explorer.etherlink.com, which is a block scout explorer that allows you to see all transactions that are occurring live or in real time on the Etherlink chain. Like I spoke about earlier, we've got Bridge. So if you wanted to move assets from other EVM chains to Etherlink and back, or if you wanted to move assets from the Tezos L1 to the Etherlink chain, you can use our native bridge, which is located at bridge.etherlink.com. And then if you're also trying to build on the testnet and you're kind of like experimenting with building simple dApps or even very complex dApps on top of Etherlink, you can claim some free XTZ to allow you to test out your dApp from our faucet. So to get to our faucet, simply go to faucet.etherlink.com. And then lastly, the most important part of this that actually has all of this is our docs. And our docs are located on docs.etherlink.com. Now, let's talk a little bit about some third-party tools and partners that you can use when building on Etherlink. We've got price feeds and oracles. So if you need to pull real-time off-chain prices and get them on-chain or get them within your smart contract, you can use Redstone and Pete for that. We've also got data indexers as well. So we've got indexers from Gold Sky and the Graph. So this gives you on-chain data in real time for your application. And then again, you can bring any of the IDs and tools that you already use today. So we support RDAT IDE, we support Foundry, you can use your Remix IDE. You can also use ThoughtWeb as well. ThoughtWeb supports Etherlink today, and you can get started building your next application using ThoughtWeb on Etherlink. And finally, if you're interested in gaming or you want to build a game, Sequence, which is the SDK for Unity and Unreal Engine, supports Etherlink. And you can go build games that store digital assets on top of the Etherlink blockchain. Now, in the next part of this video, we're going to write our smart contract on Etherlink, which is going to be a prediction market dApp. I hope you're as excited as I am, and watch out for the next video.